Detlev talked about the uncertainties inherent in these times. Who is creating those uncertainties? Ask yourself, is it the state or is it the cooperative actions of free people? I think you know which I think it is. It is the state, the institutions of the state, which are creating the vast uncertainty from which we are all suffering. It is not the free market. Unfortunately, the political narrative, even within the Conservative Party, is that freedom has failed, and it is not true. The system of money and banking is centrally planned by the central banks. It is doing this sort of thing to us. It is the state which has failed and dropped us into this. It might sound radical, but I believe it's simply true. A final point is, just to lead me on to my point of practical politics, the final feedback, is that Detlev indicated something that we forget. Life is a process, and it's a dynamic process of relationships. Now, some of those things are marriages, or friendships, or charities, or gifts. But we provide for our material needs through cooperation in the market, through the division of labour, through exchange. We perhaps produce our labour, or perhaps produce goods and services in exchange for money. Now, if somebody gives you one of these, and I am not suggesting we go back to coins of inherent value, but the point is, if somebody gives me one of these, it will always be an ounce of silver unless I physically destroy it. But if an ordinary working person, let's be honest, I think sometimes of my father, a simple site carpenter going out and putting a roof on a house in all weathers, he does that day's work and is paid not in something substantial, but in accounting entries which were actually created by lending money into existence. He's paid in accounting entries. They don't account for anything, they're just accounting entries. And while my dear old dad's doing that hard day's work on the roof, somewhere else, somebody's printing billions of pounds and just giving them to somebody who's already wealthy through holding bonds. Now, I'm all for wealth, but I'm for justly acquired wealth that is obtained by producing value for other people. And the problem we've got at the moment is that people are acting, they think justly, all through our society, including in banks. They think they're acting justly and properly, certainly not criminally, but these inflationary money arrangements mean that certain people in certain areas of the economy are getting rich unjustly, while working people are finding that their day's pay for a day's work is being fundamentally undermined by this. It's just plain wrong. Now, this is not doorstep politics. When I knock on a door, one day I knocked on the door, a lady wasn't in, I turned around, she arrived and said, "Hello, I'm Steve Baker, I'm your candidate for Parliament. Is there anything you're concerned about you'd like to discuss with me?" And I saw her literally go through a mental checklist, and she spoke it out loud. She said, "I've got a job, my husband's got a job, the kids are in a good school, we can afford our mortgage payments, and we've just brought Mum back from the hospital where she's been well treated, and we're going on holiday shortly." And this is a completely honourable way to live one's life. To work, earn your own living, look after the kids, you look after your mum, pay for your own house, go on a holiday. It's modest, good, reasonable stuff. But that lady is not, she's not here, she's not read these books, but her life and her prospects are all being undermined by all of this. One of the things I'm trying to do is to get some of these realities that I believe we face into the public domain, because I think the reality of politics is that in a democracy, politicians do follow public opinion. We lead, but only so much. You can't lead in a completely different direction. You can only lead so much. And even though I'm taking quite a heterodox view on these things, because it's all grounded in a concern for everybody, but in particular the poor who suffer most from this, because I ground it in that, I'm able to talk about these things. But you can only lead so much. That means then we come on to some good news, and then I'm going to wrap up. The good news is that if we can educate sufficient numbers of people to believe we should change the system of money, then the system of money will be changed, because it is a democracy. In the past, various movements have needed about 10% of the population to have a positive idea of what should be done in order to create an effective social movement for change. It is the job of the Cobden Centre to try to create that social movement. So far, we have concentrated on politicians, economists and opinion formers. We've done a number of documentaries and radio appearances. Detlev and I have both done different things. Detlev was the absolute star of a Radio 4 Start the Week programme with some others, and it was clear he set the tone of debate. I've done several Radio 4 analysis programs, but we need to be branching out and educating the public. So if I will just do a little plug, if any of you do feel that your fiat money is becoming worthless, please do contact me and let me know, because we'd be very glad of it at the Cobden Centre. So just a final thought then. We're told these days that there are all sorts of dangers to mankind. Terrorism, climate change, perhaps monetary collapse. But I am absolutely convinced, given the things we've been discussing tonight and those issues of terrorism, climate change, wherever you look, I'm absolutely convinced that the greatest danger to mankind is politicians. So on that thought...